Welcome to the Hastings Shadmehry Show with your hosts, Andee Hastings and Mali Shadmehry. Dive into the heart of family law as Andee and Mali bring clarity to legal challenges, celebrate client victories, and share the wisdom of their combined expertise. Get ready for a journey into empowerment and advocacy right here where your story matters.
Welcome to the Hastings Shadmehry Show. Hastings Shadmehry Family Law, home of both warriors and diplomats. Mali Shadmehry and Andee Hastings here. Welcome to episode 1. We are so excited to get to share with you who we are, what we do, and share the knowledge that we have about family law, about business, about work-life balance, and what it's like to be a woman in business, all kinds of topics and fun we're going to share with you guys. And let me tell you, we are an entertaining crew. You're going to get to talk to not only me and Andee, and let me tell you, Andee is a treasure. Can't wait for you guys to get to hear from her. You're going to get to hear from some of our litigators, some of our staff here in the office. We are an office full of about 20 women right now, and we specialize in high asset divorce and complex custody litigation. We're great at what we do. We are trial attorneys. We call ourselves a wolf pack. And here we go. So we're going to start every episode with this simple question. Andee, are you feeling like a warrior or a diplomat today?
Mali, I think today I feel like a warrior. We've talked about this a lot, and to be effective in family law, you have to be both in order to truly represent your clients the way they need to be represented. A warrior when needed, a diplomat when necessary. And today, looking down the pike of the trials that we have coming up, I'm feeling much more like a warrior. We have clients in desperate need of protection and help, and I'm ready to jump in the ring and do whatever's necessary to protect them. How about you?
Love that. What do you think my answer is?
I think it's warrior.
It's always probably going to be warrior. I'll let y'all know if I'm feeling like a diplomat on this day. But majority of the time, Mali Shadmehry is in warrior mode. Kind of like Andee just said, we've got some trials coming up, and I'm kind of one-track mind when it comes to a trial. We eat, sleep, breathe, dream what we do. So when we have a trial coming up, it's kind of like Christmas, the whole firm for a month. It's buzzing, we're prepping. So that's kind of the mode that I'm in. I'm also coming off about a month of back-to-back trials where we have just had some excellent results in some crazy cases for our clients. So I would say my spirit's a little still in the warrior mode. Kind of hard to get out of that mode when you're used to being a warrior all the time.
I think you stay in the warrior mode, Mali.
Yeah.
I think you really do.
Andee helps me kind of find the diplomat side of myself, kind of a concept that we talk about here, and maybe Andee can expand on it, is that, and this a little bit relates to our kind of tagline, warriors and diplomats. We believe that the best trial lawyers actually make even better settlement lawyers. Can you explain what we mean by that?
Absolutely. So in order to give clients guidance on how and when to settle, to advise them of their risks of going to court as opposed to resolving an issue, you have to know and understand innately what would possibly happen in court. That helps you establish the guardrails for your client to let them know, listen, we can take this position, but this is what a judge may do in court. Or listen, you have nothing to lose. They're offering you your worst day in court. So why would you ever accept that? So the best resolution-oriented attorneys are the ones that go to court, know exactly what happens in court, knows what the judges are going to do, what the other lawyers are going to do, and what the opposing parties are going to do. And that's something that we specialize in.
Yeah, and to expand on that, I think that there's been a big push, at least in the Atlanta area. That's where we're based. We're in the Atlanta area and kind of all surrounding counties that touch Fulton County and the Atlanta area. And there's been a big push, I would say, recently for this very, let's all be amicable, don't go get a trial lawyer, get a settlement lawyer. And I think that the messaging on that is flawed, fundamentally. I don't think that that protects our people as much, because the bottom line is that a great trial attorney, only actually a small percentage of our cases go to trial. And it's the ones that actually really warrant it. And yeah, there may be some of us out here like me who've got more of this warrior mentality, and we thrive in the courtroom. We love it. That's why I was put on this earth, and Andee too, to go to court. And be lethal when our clients, it's really warranted. But with that said, we know where to draw the line. I keep the majority of my clients out of court, and I'm probably viewed as being in court a lot because I take on the more challenging cases. And the clients that know I need my day in court, they're going to come to me because they know I'm not going to back down. If a fair settlement comes onto my table, then we're going to entertain that. But do not waste my time, because I'd rather be in court, but I'm not stupid. I'm not going to waste my client's time, money, emotional health, all of that. And we'll talk about all that. We have a very sort of all-inclusive approach with how trial impacts our clients, not only in their pockets, and of course, their children. Okay, so we have a couple of little topics we're going to hit on today just to get our vibe going. All right, so this is one of the most commonly asked questions that I'm very excited to hear Andee's responses on. So the question is, what is the most common reason for divorce? And then I think we can talk about our origins as well. But let's talk about what's the most common reason for divorce in your mind.
I think typically I have three reasons. They usually fall within these three categories and variations thereof. People disagree about child rearing, they disagree about money, or somebody's cheating. And sometimes you have more than one of those categories, but typically every single case we see fits into one of those fundamentally.
When you consult with clients, do they always know what's going on and why they're leaving the other person?
Sometimes they do. Sometimes we have clients that don't want to leave, but they have a spouse that wants a divorce. And so part of helping them navigate the process is to understand what's going to happen, what they're going through, and kind of help them process why the other person is doing the things that they are doing. But yes, we sometimes we'll have folks come in and they'll talk to us about what's going on in their lives. And I can figure out during the course of that consultation, okay, I know this is happening, or this is happening, or this is happening. And I'll ask questions of the client to determine if they've considered that as well. And sometimes by the end, they'll be like, you're right. That is exactly what's happening. And so we're just here to kind of bring it all together. And the reason we do that is because we have to understand how to navigate what they're facing. In order to do that, we need to really get down to what's going on and what's motivating both of them in this process.
What were your other ones? It was cheating,
disagreements with rearing children, and disagreements regarding money.
Okay, talk to us about those.
So it's not unusual when people have kids, as they start to get into their kind of tween years or maybe a little bit younger, that they have different ideas about how they want to raise their children. They have different ideas about discipline and what they expect of them when they go to school, all these other things. And they get into big arguments in this day and age where we've got a lot of children that are afflicted with autism, and we're trying to navigate those waters and figure out, okay, what's the best way to deal with this? Is it therapy? Is it occupational therapy? Is it medication? A lot of parents disagree over those possible avenues with which to deal with something that could affect their child's life for the rest of their life.
Okay.
What about you? What do you think is the main reason for divorce, Mali?
So I do have the little threshold response of definitely it's cheating. I would say addiction as well, whether that's drugs, alcohol, porn. I can't wait to tell y'all some of our crazy stories. We've got some fun ones, fun trial stories. But I have sort of a bigger picture response that is all-encompassing in my mind. And it will really inform you as to how I view our clients when we talk to them. I believe that the main reason people get divorced is that one or both of the parties did not put the work in to grow as a human being. One or both of them has grown. They're on a different trajectory. The other one is going the other way. A lot of times what we see is that somebody's been stunted emotionally. We're all humans. All of us get stunted emotionally at different times in our lives. We have trauma childhood trauma and things that are just so deep. And some people can put the work in and grow. The best partnerships, and I know this from my business partnership with my partner, when both people can put work in and grow together, everybody's going to have conflict and pain and trauma and challenges, whether that's the addiction, whether someone cheated, whatever it is. These problems are going to arise. And most couples are not equipped with the skills to communicate and handle conflict together. So to me, it really comes down to a more fundamental root issue with the individuals themselves, both parties, regardless of who was the bad boy or the bad girl. And sometimes it really is somebody's been, we deal a lot with domestic violence. A lot of my cases lately have been dealing with that. So I would add that into the mix. I guess my answer would be cheating, drug, alcohol addiction, porn addiction, but also domestic violence. We specialize in cases that require a restraining order, a TPO, temporary protective order. Those cases go to trial really quickly, and a lot of times those cases contain a lot of these components: cheating, alcohol, and the physical abuse. But the one common trend that you'll see amongst, I would say, all of our divorces is that somebody didn't keep growing on a trajectory that would grow with their partner. And great attorneys we can't figure that out overnight. It takes time. It takes developing a relationship with your client. A lot of times I'm not able to even pick up on what are all of these nuances in these people's lives until I work with my client for several months. And these are usually more really litigious, complicated cases. And after hours of phone calls with my client, emails, you name it. We read all of their text messages. We read their diaries. We know these people.
Only if they want us to.
Only if they want us to. I've got a stack of diaries in my office right now from one of my sweet clients, and she sees this, she'll know I'm talking about it. And some of the stories I read about people, it helps me understand, oh my goodness, this is something they went through back in the day. This is stories they're telling me about their spouse. So I can now see how these two became volatile. So that's sort of my bigger picture approach there. And I think that a good lawyer is going to put the work in to kind of figure out those dynamics. And that way they can educate their fact finder, whether that's a judge or a guardian ad litem or whoever, about these nuances. Because if you don't have a lawyer that can pick up on these things and really understand the inner workings, almost psychologically, of what's been going on throughout this marriage, I think you're at an extreme disadvantage. I think a real advocate for their client needs to understand in their heart who their client is and a lot of times my clients, I'll say something after some work with them and we've gained some trust, we have respect towards one another. I'll say something about them and I'll say, here's what I think has been going on. They will look at me and say, I cannot believe that you realize that. Oh my gosh. A lot of times they'll tell us, you're more of a life coach than an attorney. And I think that that's important. I think your lawyer cannot advocate for you unless they put the work in to really get to understand the dynamics and the challenges that not only your client, but the other side has faced too. And I think that that's more of a diplomatic approach, and that pertains to the warriors and diplomats thing. I can be a warrior for you, but I think, in essence, I think warriors are good warriors are going to be diplomats. We're going to create a plan of attack. This one has taught me how to do that. This is the most sly fox in the game, okay? We've got the brains over here, the brawn over here, kind of what we say. I can be a bull in a china shop. Andee is lethal, okay? You'll see. But now I'm losing my train of thought. I got excited.
This happens occasionally.
Occasionally,
but not in
I go
court.
on rants. But so I do. I think that being a diplomat is just part of being a warrior. And you have to create your plan of attack by having an open mind and maybe approaching the other side from an interesting frame of mind, an understanding frame of mind. Let me understand who my opponent is, because most of the time their lawyer's not doing it. We're doing the analysis. I can say that. That's a different topic for another day. The level of detail lawyers will give to their cases. But yeah, that's
I just had a thought for you, Mali. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Do you ever see, I do, and I'm wondering, do you see clients come in who they're having problems maybe along the lines of what one of the reasons you and I have already discussed, and they don't want a divorce, but they don't know what to do?
Definitely.
How do you deal with that?
So I go through, so at their consultation, they will make very clear to me, I'm on the fence, I'm scared. Our front desk staff will usually even pick up on that when they call. So I go into the conversation knowing, a little bit, but either way, I'll feel them out. And I tell them from the beginning that, listen, I just want you to relax. We're not going to make any decisions today. This is something everybody gets to sleep on. This is an informative session. We believe knowledge is power. And if you're going to save your marriage, we fully support that. If not, what I'm doing today is just educating you on what it would look like, what would the process look like, some cost estimates for you, what would life look like after a divorce. I'm just giving you the what ifs so that you can take that information for what it's worth and you can decide what's the best fit for you and your family down the road. And so when I can do that at the beginning, they will usually relax in the conversation. They're able to absorb the information I give them a lot more easily. And we approach this conversation more, again, kind of like a life coach. And I've had clients that reconcile, but I would say the vast majority of them come back in about 6 months to a year and say, all right, you were right. These are the things that were happening, and I just want to proceed now. So what about you?
Well, I have a very similar approach, and it does happen. I think the hardest step for clients, and I'm interested to know if you feel the same, is coming through the door, is having that first meeting. Even if they're ready for it, they have a hard time taking that first step and meeting with a lawyer. And there are folks who really don't want a divorce, but they feel like they're in a situation that will not resolve for one reason or another. And I think it's important for folks to know when they come in here that this is a safe space, that if ultimately their goal is to reconcile, then that's our goal. We are warriors, but we are here to protect our clients in whatever way, shape, or form that manifests. So if somebody comes in and they really don't think they want a divorce, but they want to know what they're possibly facing, we explain all of that to them. We explain the process. We'll give them resources for potential therapists or other options to help maybe work through their issues with their spouse. Our goal is not to just get everyone in here, get them into a divorce and, go to battle at every single turn. Our goal is to protect our clients. And whether that requires giving them resources to stay in their situation, if it's something that they feel strongly they can work through, support them, and they can know that there's no judgment if they're not able to work through it. If they go through a divorce, if they need somebody to step into the ring and take people out, then that's what we'll do too. And at the end of the day, we will help them resolve it. And if they want to resolve it in a particular way, we will do that. We'll give them all the information they need to make the best decisions they can for themselves and their families. So I was just curious if that came up for you too.
Yeah, well, that brings to mind a couple things for me. Number one is I'm known for taking on the challenging cases and clients. I love it when somebody comes to me and they're in a broken situation and they say, in my perfect world, this is what I want. I don't feel like I have a chance in hell for that. And I will give it to them straight. And I'll say, look, you want to do that? Here is the likelihood of that result happening. Here's what it would cost. Here's the overall message I like my clients to hear from me. I will keep you within the bounds of the law and not let you take frivolous stances that would subject you to paying attorney's fees. Again, that's a benefit of having a trial attorney. We've always got attorney's fees and how a judge views those in our peripheral. We're not going to let our clients take frivolous stances under the law. Maybe some of my opposing counsel out there might disagree with me, but they can come on as a guest if they want to. That'd be fun. So what I tell my clients, though, even in the most difficult of cases, is you're the mom, you're the dad. You know what is best for you and your family. That is not my place as a lawyer. So that's kind of a fundamental theme that I keep front of mind with me and my clients is, look, I can give you all the legal strategies in the world, and I can tell you what would be good or bad in court. But I can't tell you what's best for your family. Only your intuition can tell you that. I have plenty of moms that don't want primary physical custody of their children. And I do think that it's antiquated. I think it's a common misconception that moms get primary physical custody more than dads. I think that's a different topic. I also think I see that in a more limited lens because I get dads that come to me more often and I go fight those cases and prevail on them a lot of the time. So I see more of that. So maybe that's just a Mali focused thing because I take those cases. Another thing that you said that I think is very important, and this will lead us into another topic in a moment. Andee said something along the lines of, it's scary when a client decides to talk to a lawyer. And it is. That, to me, it's an act of courage. It is very courageous when someone decides, I'm going to pick up the phone today and I'm going to call Hastings Shadmehry and I am going to have a consultation with a divorce attorney or a custody-related case, a custody-related attorney, whatever their needs are. And we talk to our staff about this a lot too. And this is we like our clients to feel safe. As soon as they call the firm, they know they're in a safe place. The person on the other end of the phone is there to receive the information, receive your scared energy, and guide you through this. And so what I tell my clients when they come in here to meet with me for the first time, especially when they're hurting and they're scared, especially a lot of them who've been through some domestic violence, you can feel that pain as soon as they walk into the office. And I think that's one thing we really pride ourselves on, is being empaths and kind of having a feel for what our clients are feeling. And yes, that's very hard for us to separate as human beings from our personal lives, another topic. But what I tell my clients is, you did not know this when you walked in these doors today, but when you walked in here, you stepped over a line. You stepped over here into Mali world, and you are safe in Mali world. Okay, you are now in the wolf pack. You just stepped into the mama wolf's den, and nobody gets to step over that line unless we let them in, because we know what we want. Here are the steps. Here's what we're going to do. And we just keep pushing them back. They don't get to step over our line. This is your safe place now. That is the vibe that we like our clients to feel as soon as they pick up the phone, as soon as they come to us for protection. They're in a safe place. We're not going to let them agree to anything stupid, unfair, and we're not going to let anyone hurt them anymore. And that sort of brings us to another topic, which is, what should I be looking for in an attorney?
That's a really good question. Sorry, y'all, I have allergies. Well, and it kind of goes along with our theme of being warriors and diplomats. People look for attorneys sometimes that reflect their personalities. Sometimes they look for people who have the opposite personalities. Fundamentally, and I'm sure this is no surprise, is I suggest to clients that they want somebody that does go to court, who knows what can happen, but who is also resolution-based. I'm a mediator myself, so I help other people resolve their cases amicably when that's the path that they've chosen. I think the most important thing to remember is this is a very personal relationship. You're entrusting somebody with the most important things in your life, your children, your future, your money, the things that affect your life every single day. And so if you're not comfortable with your attorney, if you don't feel like you're being heard and that they understand you, and understanding and agreeing with everything are two different things. And I tell clients this all the time. My job is to tell you what you need to know. Hopefully that's what you want to know. But if push comes to shove and those two don't align, I'm going to tell you what you need to know. And that's me protecting you. And you need somebody that does that. If you get an attorney who just says, oh, yeah, we'll do that, we'll do that, we'll do that, we'll do that, with no analysis, oof, you're going to end up in a very difficult, actually, you'll probably end up here after you've hired them, because that happens sometimes as well. But I just think it's very important to understand that relationship. You need to feel safe with your attorney.
Yeah, I just had a hearing a few weeks ago where it was so evident that the dude hired an attorney who was a yes girl and said, sure, I'll take this stance for you, sir. A stance that was impossible under the law. So we went to a hearing on that, and the court said, yeah, I'm not giving you that. That's not a thing. And now they're paying our attorney's fees, and it was just a brutal shutdown. I mean, not only are you going to be looking for another lawyer down the road, but going against lawyers that are going to shut that down. That's just dangerous. My answer on that, what should you look for in an attorney? Obviously, second everything Andee said. Mine's a little more simplistic too, and I talk to my clients about this. You're going to do a consultation with an attorney. What you see is what you get. the way that lawyer communicates with you, it's not going to change over time. You need to be able to understand what they're talking about, kind of in plain English. They need to be able to take some complex issues, boil it down to an understandable way for you to absorb. And that varies by client. A great lawyer can read the room and make you feel comfortable in their presence. So I'm going to tell everybody, trust your gut. When you're going through a divorce or a custody battle, whatever it is, and you need a lawyer, anytime you need a lawyer, it's scary. We had to have a lawyer this year for the first time. Look at us go. He was great. But I can attest to that. It is weird to have something beyond your control and you need to be protected. That's hard. So already I think your intuition's a little off. You're nervous. It is very important who you surround yourself with. You are who you surround yourself with in general. We believe that over here. That's another topic for another day. Y'all are tired of hearing me say that now. But your lawyer is the one, like Andee said, that is going to have kind of control over your children and your money. We are protecting your children and your money and, like Andee said, your future. These are things we don't take lightly. That means when you come talk to this person, you need to feel at ease. When you leave that consultation, my goal is to always let my clients leave being able to breathe just a little bit easier. Okay? So you should be able to easily understand what the game plan is. They should be able to easily articulate to that to you. And if they're not, they're giving vague answers, they're saying things that don't make sense, and you're asking for clarification, that's not the right fit. And I say this from experience. I've had many clients come to me and say, a year and a half ago, I hired a lawyer. I felt weird about it from day one. Typically, these are women that tell me this, and I have a reason. I'll explain that in a moment. But they'll say, I trusted him or her. I thought this would work, but nothing has changed over time. Essentially, what they gave me at that consultation, it hasn't changed. I assumed they had it. They didn't. I haven't understood anything. There's no results happening. Now I'm a year and a half in, and I need a new lawyer. This happens to me. I'd say probably 50% of my clients come to me saying I'm unhappy. I haven't gotten good guidance. Okay, so a lot of times when people have gone through a traumatic relationship, and oftentimes, 20-year, 40-year marriages that we deal with, they're used to leaning on their spouse. That's their person that they go to run ideas by. When they don't know what to do, you go to that person. Well, a good divorce attorney, I have to tell my clients, look, I'm the person you're going to need to come to with these questions. It sounds crazy, but especially victims of abuse, even when there's a divorce pending, they want to go talk to their spouse about the divorce, about what we're doing. And the spouse, usually manipulative, and wants to, let's talk about this. Let's keep your lawyer out of this. And true victims really do fall into that. And it's really important to me to be there for my client to say, and I tell them this bluntly, depending on the case, like, look, you're going to have to get used to leaning on me. In fact, what the term I use, and don't judge me, I say, look, I'm your daddy now because I'm blunt. And when I have that rapport with a client, I'll say, look, come to daddy. I have got it. Okay? You're not going to them anymore. And sometimes clients really need that blunt help. Of course, I can cushion it and get them there, but that's what it comes down to. You can't go to your spouse anymore. You need a lawyer you can just trust and understand and know that your interest is at the front of their mind at all times. So what do you look for in an attorney? Number one, it's, can you understand what they're talking about? Do you feel more comfortable leaving their office than when you got there? That's a big deal. You should feel that.
Every single time.
I would say you want somebody that's got some good trial experience under their belt. Have they done jury trials in a divorce? That's more rare in Georgia. I think nationwide it's more rare. I think we're one of the only states that allow a jury trial in divorce. And you want a lawyer that can do those. Okay? It comes up a good bit, especially in high asset divorce. You want a lawyer that's familiar with the jurisdiction that your case is in. We will know the judges. We'll know the protocol in that courtroom. You're going to save money over time going to a lawyer that knows, okay, this judge likes it done this way. You're not paying us to go call around to the judge's staff and say, how does this judge like this done? How do we do this? How do they prefer? You're going to save money overall to go with a lawyer that knows the judge and the jurisdiction, as well as they're going to know how judges want to hear arguments in court and a little bit about the fact finder, the judge's ideals, and how your case kind of fits into that. So all of that's important. And then the last kind of piece that I'll give, and don't hate me, but you get what you pay for. All right? It is a red flag to be going to these lawyers that dabble in family law. We love a dabbler, don't we? I'm sorry, but we will eat you for breakfast if you don't specialize in this. This is what we do day in, day out, and we love it. We're so passionate about it. Can you tell? And I mean, when you get somebody that does a bit of criminal, bit of, trusts and estates, and throw some family law in there, it in my experience goes terribly. They're going to be cheaper usually. The flat rate attorneys, there's some great ones out there that I can think of in the family law world, but they're rare. They're going to have a higher caseload usually. If you've got a more complex case and higher assets, you get what you pay for. And you need to be prepared to do that. This is an investment. It is hiring a team of soldiers, an army that's going to have your back and lead you through this. And if you don't do it right the first time, then it is highly likely you're going to come back to us years down the road and say, I did a divorce years ago. It was handled poorly. What can we do to modify this? That's a big percentage of our cases as well. Whereas if it just would have gotten handled appropriately from the beginning, wouldn't have happened. So yeah, I think we're going to be wrapping up here. And I mentioned earlier our origin story. I think we'll have to cover that next time. So stay tuned, learn more about us. Anything else, Andee, before we sign off?
No, I've just enjoyed this time with you like I always do.
Yes, me as well. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you again on the Hastings Shadmehry podcast, and we look forward to teaching you about the lives of the warriors and diplomats here in our office and what we have to contribute to the world.
Thank you.
Thanks.